Hey Canada, this here is going to be my first video, the actual video. I had an introduction where I told people that I was going to start creating content and videos for World Alternative Media and Josh Sigurdson, his group. And this is going to be the very first one. And you know what? Because, let's face it, the U.S. election has just happened and it's front and center at most people's minds. On all sides of the political spectrum, and those of us that don't delve into that bullshit, right? But let's just talk about the fact. I'm going to make this video, this first video that I'm going to do for World Alternative Media. I want to talk about right now. I want to explain to people all these leftists, all these media propagandists and pundits and the politicians and the ruling elite and all those special interest groups and lobbyists. And I'm here to tell you, well, actually, let me just say first and foremost, the best answer to this one here, I'm looking right now at the Sunday edition with Michael Enright of CBC Radio, and the headline on this particular, and this is a podcast, but it's, how could I get so much wrong? How could I get so much wrong? Michael's essay. So even in the headline, that just goes to show you, well, he fucked up. The air fucks up every time. See, this is the problem when you're raised with the collective mindset, is you automatically go to we. The fact that you go to the word we when you're thinking about ideas, concepts, preferences, opinions, that's a fucked up scenario if you think about it from the macro aspect. Because I have an opinion. That really is what it really comes down to. I have an opinion. Someone else might share my opinion on a particular topic or subject, but I guarantee if we hammer out enough topics and subjects, we're going to find that we disagree on a lot of them. And we may agree on some, but there's never going to be a time, like I've said on countless times prior, we are not a collective like the Borg. We are actual autonomous individual human beings with a brain of our own. So when you think collectively, like Michael, that is raised in that collective mindset, the status, right? The status, all the religious ideologies, Christianity, Islam, all these fucking, and the government, statism. What's the very base premise of that philosophy is the subject is merely something or someone that exists for the state, for the betterment of the good, for the betterment of society, or for the betterment of humanity. That makes anybody a sacrificial lamb, or, when you're talking in the human realm, a sacrificial person for the greater good. Think about what that does to the psyche, to the self-esteem of any human being. That's the inherent problem. But because these fuckers think that they're part of the ruling class, they get their information from their deity, right? So they feel that they're part of the elite, they're part of the gods. They are, if there's a god, they are the knights at the round table, more or less, or whatever the hell the kind of premise these fucks try to dream up in their head. But they believe that they're so vastly superior intellectually, socially, politically, everything you can think about, that it threw them for a loop that, wait a minute, we had all the economic modeling, we had all the polls, we had all this everything that we did, all this data crunching, all these numbers, all these studies, all these polls, but yet they were all proved to be wrong. like it goes back to same with, you know what? Really what it comes down to, let's use the Keynes fucking mentality versus someone like Adam Smith, right? And I'm not talking about the full everything. I'm just talking about the base premise of Keynes with using the collective ideology and bullshit, right? Or someone like Adam Smith that recognized that economy, just like human nature, human beings, it's the invisible hand. It's not something you can reach out and grab, twist, distort, and conform to make it suit your human beings. Like I said, we are not only we autonomous individuals, but our brains have the capacity to change with new information. So, and that happens on a daily, hourly, minute by minute basis. So for anyone to think that they can get the pulse of a nation, that is literally only to suggest those who would want to propagate a nation or be part of the collective. which means they leave out entirely those of us that don't assume to be part of the collective or are indoctrinated into the faith of statism or would want to choose to participate in a fucking poll put on by some political propagandist or outlet. This is the fucking problem. And I want to explain to Michael and all you other fucksticks that are so butthurt today because you got everything wrong, get used to it, because you're going to see that that's going to be the status quo from now on, is that you're just going to be constantly and continually confounded as to why you no longer have, or you never really did have, the pulse of the nation. You, prior to the internet age, had the ability to subjugate people's minds, their thoughts, and their thought processes to yours, because no one else had the ability to tell them different narratives or show them different information or evidence. In the information/internet age, you fuckers have lost all of that power. That ultimately, what it really comes down to is the internet age, where people like myself or Josh, right, where those of us just regular people, I can put forth a narrative that will counteract yours, and I don't have to spend shitloads of money. I don't have to dominate people. I don't have to steal from them. I don't have to plunder the masses like CBC to the tune of $1 billion fucking dollars to propagandize the brain. I just have to be honest, objective, truthful, and give them information that they realize instinctively that, yeah, this makes way more fucking sense than the bullshit I've been told, right? That's all they needed was just, and what's that really come down to ultimately? Competition. The competition of ideas. The free market of ideas has shown them that, and the internet's the only way that flourishes. Outside the internet, you can't have a free market of ideas. That can't flourish in a statist paradigm or in a corporate paradigm, right? Where central planners get to control that premise. But in the internet age, right, with the superhighway, and everybody's traveling down it, yeah, there's no way anybody can stop us from saying what we got to say. There's no way anyone can dominate the narrative. And ultimately, that's really what it's come down to. So be as butthurt as you want, leftists. And that's another thing. I don't even want to call you fuckers liberals, because you have completely destroyed what that word even means. There's nothing liberal about the establishment. And the establishment predominantly makes up those on the left. But in Canada, yeah, they make up the right too. The conservatives or the progressives or the NDP. If you're a political party, and I think we're all starting to realize this, just like another thing in the U.S., they didn't go for the Libertarian Party, did they? And voter suppression or voter turnout, they talked about how it was so great. No, it was actually quite low. Depending on reports, anywhere from 53 down to 46.9%. So less and less people want to play this stupid political game. And those that do are saying, I just want to throw a Molotov at the system. I'm not trying to do this to strategically make so that I get someone in power that I love. No, they just want to keep throwing Molotovs at the establishment and show them that you fuckers don't have the power that you thought you did. That's really what it comes down to ultimately. And if they want to continue, if these control freaks and sociopaths want to continue to ignore this reality after Brexit, after the U.S., and the fact that Canadians now have to put up with this fucking pony boy, this fucking stupid Trudeau fucking piece of shit, after having to fucking deal with 10 years of the Harbour fucking conservatives, you think they want to put up? Go ahead, force them to deal with this shit. And you know what? They might be good little conformists for a while, but even the Canadian psyche has a breaking point. Even though I recognize that because of our past and the psychology and all this bullshit, they are better slaves, better conformists than most. But even Canadians have a breaking point. So you fuckers keep playing your game. But I'm telling you, in the long run, you might have won a battle here and you might have won a battle there. But in the long run, the game, the ultimate war is going to be won by the people, by those that care about liberty, that care about freedom, and care about objective reason and logic. That's the side you really should be on. So you keep fighting against it as much as you want, you fuckers in the establishment. Laughing, looking down, smearing, being the elitist motherfuckers you are. You go right ahead and continue on that shit. But like I said, the day is going to come. And you might want to look through history and find out, how people like yourself get treated. And not saying that I or anyone else or someone like myself, we're going to be the ones that treat you in that manner. But I'm telling you, there are people that, rather than just want to use objective reason and logic, there are people, like I say, that generally just want to throw a Molotov and they don't give a fuck who it hits. So be careful out there. Be smart. It's about time you start to think about these things. And if you really want to be progressive instead of a collective, start thinking truly forward and thinking about what the future of liberty, where that's supposed to be and where that's going to be. And you better get on side. Skinny Libertarian, and I love liberty, as well as adding content to my friend Josh Sigerson's page, The World Alternative Media.